Hi lovelies, Chrissy here today and welcome to the channel and my last video with the fabulous October kits. So if you watched Deb's video earlier in the month where she used the archival inks to make some really beautiful backgrounds, I decided to take that idea and sort of run with it. So I went and got myself some rubbing alcohol. Isocol works just fine here. And yeah, this is mostly me experimenting because I did watch Deb's video, but I also wanted to see what I could do. So I'm just using my inks and applying them straight to my craft sheet and then spraying it with the rubbing alcohol to sort of activate that ink a bit. Being archival ink, they do dry quickly and they don't respond like water-based inks. But that's where the rubbing alcohol comes in. A bit of that, and it helps keep it a bit wet for a little longer so you can try and get some backgrounds. So this was me applying it straight to my craft sheet. And I made a background with that. Then I decided to try the packaging technique with this. Now I know that it would be very simple to just go and get some water-based inks and do this, but I really love these colours and I really wanted to see how this would work. It takes me a few goes to get it right, so I just spray and then apply, but because it doesn't have that reactive property like a watercolour ink does, I found that the more rubbing alcohol you applied and then the more you mixed it together, the better it was going to work on the cardstock. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just rubbing it on my packaging, spraying a decent amount of the rubbing alcohol and mixing it together to get a bit more play out of that ink. And then I end up with a background that I really, really like. I love these colours. They're fantastic and they work really well together. And they're actually perfectly matched to the kit, obviously, because Steph does a fantastic job like that. Now it's here that I decided to go through my kit and find some bits and pieces that work with this background that I've created. Funnily enough, I still haven't picked a photo at this moment. I was having too much fun playing with the background and finding coordinating pieces in the kit that it didn't really matter that I didn't have a photo. I had no plan in mind. All I knew is that I wanted to play with these inks and see what kind of background I could create and what I could do. And yeah, then I got carried away going through the awesome kits and finding bits and pieces that I liked to match that I still didn't really think much about a photo. So, you know my fear of cutting into a 12 by 12 piece of pattern paper. Hence why I'm using the Project Life cards to map what will be my photo in a minute. I'm trying hard to work on layers. If you've seen my videos in the past, you'll know that generally I map my photo maybe once and that's it. Lately I've been working on building up some clusters and layers. So this is a picture of me and my monkey. Now I know that when I made this background I wanted to go for an arty, messy kind of picture. In the design team we have a group chat and we all have nicknames. My nickname, funnily enough, is the messy one, and this is why. So I am most happy when I am making an art mess of some kind, covered in paint, ink. I love it. I quite regularly go to school or the shops with ink all over my hands, and it's just a regular thing. This was a picture of me and Will. Now, because of the way I'd set out my layout, I was going for a landscape photo, but the photo that I really wanted was this one that I have now of me that my husband took after a session in my art room, and I'm covered in ink. It's on my face, it's on my hands. So this is the photo I wanted. But because it was a different orientation, I didn't think it would work. In the end, I decided to just flip everything around anyway and then start with my layer. So I did trim the photo down a bit so I could use my Project Life cards, because the Project Life cards are 4x6. And obviously if I had a 4x6 photo, it wouldn't fit. But there was bits of the photo that I didn't really need anyway. So I trimmed it down and now I'm matting it onto my Project Life cards. I did want to I've got a thing, I have to have it equal. So as you can see, one of my cards doesn't reach to the other side. So it's great for my layers, but it bugs me because I need to have an equal layer on the back. Don't ask me why, it's just a thing I have to do. So everything's square. So I decided to get some tissue paper because, again, I don't like to cut into pretty 12 by 12 pieces of cardstock if I think I'm going to use them for something else. And that ombre blue and green one, it's too pretty. I want to use it for a layout for something, so I didn't want to cut into it. So I thought I'd use some tissue paper. I'm still getting the hang of working with tissue paper. You'd think it'd be easier, but when I cut it, it's crooked. But anyway, it works. So I decided to map my photo on, so I've got my 2 Project Life layers, and now I've got my tissue paper. Yep, I'm trimming it down, making things worse, but, you know, in the end, I wanted this layout to be arty and grungy, and so all these jagged edges and crooked lines actually work well for this layout. Yeah, just trimming it down, and then I'm going to adhere this to my layout. I didn't want to use my tape gun because I've learnt the hard way that it rips the tissue paper. So I'm getting out my double-sided adhesive and then just going to put that down. And then I'm going to work on my title. Now, I wanted to keep my title simple, and we got those awesome chipboard title pieces in the kit. So I decided to use one of those words. I knew when I first made the background that I wanted to use the one that said unique. I don't like anything white. I couldn't keep it white, so I wanted to ink that up a bit too. But I did want to go for a rough, grungy look. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the teal ink and sort of give that a run over. I didn't want to colour it completely because I like the grungy, rough look. And then I'd decide to throw some of the purple in as well. And yeah, that's going to be my simple title. I spray it with some of that rubbing alcohol just to see if it would blend a little bit as well. I think it did all right. Didn't do too bad at all. So I really like the way this turned out. Nice and easy just to throw some of that ink on there. And to grunge up the layout a little more and to add some more of that teal in there, I decided to get the ink pad and just run it around the edges of my layout. I didn't want to give it a border, and I didn't want to mat it on anything. I almost decided to do a hand-drawn border, but I liked the way it looked in the end. So yeah, I just decided to use some of that teal ink to run along the edge, just to give it a little bit more of that teal colour and also grunge up the edges a bit. And then I decided to go and grab the awesome stamp that we got, the rotary stamp, and it's got some really nice little patterns on it. It really worked for the arty, messy feel that I was going for this layout. So I just used the purple to stamp that a bit around my title. Yeah, just to add another little dimension to my layout. Oh, I love word stickers. I love word phrase stickers. They're my absolute favourite thing to include. And I was hoping there'd be something like creative or just something that would work for this layout. In the end, I find some that I'm happy with. I didn't like one of the stamped image parts that I got, so I used the sticker to cover that up. But it also adds to my title as well. As you can see, I have now gone to the my plate of awesomeness. This is where, if you haven't heard of my plate of awesomeness before, it is literally a 4-compartment dip tray thingo that I got from just a cheap shop, but I use it to store all my embellishments in. I find that when I put all my papers and thickers in my kit, I put all my embellishments in here and I sit it in the same box with my kit, and it's just an easy way to pull everything out, and I have all my embellishments together in the one place. That's why I call it my plate of awesomeness, because it's where all the most awesome parts of the kit is. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm going through the ephemera that we got, the die cut pieces and the ephemera pieces that came in the kit. And I'm pulling out ones that I like, colours and flowers, big, small, whatever I can. Due to having 2 boys, 2 nephews, husband, dog, I don't get to use my girly stuff much. My pretty flowers and butterflies. So I figured, why not just throw them all on this layout? It goes with my background. It's, it works. My title being unique, I thought, you can't go wrong with the flowers and the butterflies. Like, what exactly embellishment do you use for being unique, So I figured because this was, an arty, flowy, bright, colourful layout about me, I figured why not throw them all on there. So that's literally what I did. I start with a small cluster and I'm popping some up, cutting some of the leaves off, some of them just so they look different, sticking some straight down, using some foam dots on others. Then I move over to the other side because I figure, why not? Why stick to one cluster? And yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this. This probably took the most amount of time of the entire layout, including the background. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm not usually big on flower clusters like this. I don't really usually get the chance to do it. So this was a lot of fun to do. Definitely very different, and really cool. I had a really good time doing this. So just working on the other side now. I decided to add some dimension into that as well. I love the butterfly. I love butterflies. So I really wanted to throw one of them on there, but I didn't want him to be over there all on his lonesome. So I decided to do another little flower cluster over there too, but then I need a butterfly on the other side because you can't have one butterfly. So yeah, literally went through the die cuts and added whatever I could that would work. Yeah, had a great time doing that. And I find with flower clusters, you really can't go wrong. Sometimes I feel when I do big clusters, I just can't make things work. Like this happiness is sign, I couldn't make it work. But I find that when I do clusters and things, they don't always look good. I find that I'm either overdoing it or things just look weird. The one thing I have noticed with flower clusters is you can't go wrong pretty much. Now, as you can see, I've just gone on pretty much every flower that I've pulled out and I've just stuck it down. Literally, I've just stuck them all down and it looks great. Well, in my opinion, it does. But yeah, it's like you can't go wrong. And I've layered some up, I've put foam dots, I've just stuck them down. And it looks like it belongs. Now, the problem I have sometimes is things just look out of place. Not so with flower clusters. You really can't go wrong. Like even on this side, I thought this was looking a bit weird because there was a gap between the two and it wasn't all flowing together. Some of the leaves that I chopped off, I just put them in there and boom, it all works. So yes, you can't go wrong with flower clusters. So give it a go. If you have a whole bunch of flower ephemera, throw them on a layout and see how much fun you can have. It looks really great. My favourite part of the layout, this is my favourite paint pen, my Liquitex white paint pen. This is my favourite way to use it. I throw it and flick it around and I get it everywhere, including all over my arms, whatever happens to be on my desk, like my drink cup, as you can see. I get paint everywhere, but it is my favourite way to throw white splatters. I like it because it's opaque. See, I got it in my drink. I like it because it's a solid. It doesn't go translucent. It just stays bright white. So that is why I love to use my Liquitex paint pen for that, for my white splatters. And yeah, literally I just flick it around and I get some great splatters happening. I'm just going to add the last finishing pieces to my layout because we know I can't do a layout without adding bling or enamel dots. And I'm using those to really pretty up my clusters because I've got that dimension in those flowers and the different heights with the foam. I'm able to put my diamantes, you know, in there and really add to that, to those clusters a lot. And that's it for the layout. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I really had a lot of fun doing this spread. It was a little different for me and that's why I really enjoyed it. So that's going to be it from me for the month of October. So stay tuned next month to see what we come up with for the November kits. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.